As Bitcoin educators, we could spend 90% of our time saying, see at fiat and see how bad it is and how it will bring everything down, how it's killing our babies and all of those things. Or you can kind of paint the picture of like a positive Bitcoin future, like what we can also do with that and what Bitcoin plus AI and all those innovations kind of come together and will enable the individual to do, like having more freedom, having more choice of what you do. Like there's so many things that come from that is super positive.
Yeah, and it's a hard sort of duality that we live in because they're right, as you said, you agree with a lot of them. I do too. Like the world is bad, the fiat system is systemically broken intentionally to benefit others and basically to enslave the people that are that don't have any capital and any control and any closeness to the money printer. So it's terrible. It's terrible. And you can definitely go down that road and you can live in that world of fear and all of that. But, your reality is a huge part of your reality as an individual is based on your perspective. So if you can shift that somehow, right? And it's not something you can just like snap your fingers and do. It's like you actually have to really start to believe differently than maybe you do right now if you live in fear. But as you learn about something, oh, this is an alternate monetary network. This is accessible by anybody. You don't need a bank account. You don't have to be born in a certain region or speak a certain language. You can buy. It's essentially infinitely divisible, so you can buy a very small unit of it. Bitcoin is divisible to a 100 millionth decimal point. But I think I say infinitely divisible because I think it's a relatively easy consensus change at some point if it becomes necessary to divide it further. But it's still max supply, fixed issuance. These are also aspects that make it fair, make it honest, and make it good for humans, for humanity. Right? This is an instrument of abundance and prosperity for the individual. And when you recognize and realize that, how can you be fearful around it? Like the fear around the fear mongering within Bitcoin is like, oh, they're going to ban it, they're going to stop you, it's not private enough. Like there's all these little things, and I'm not saying none of those are issues. They're all issues in the moment or as they come up, but nonetheless, they are Bitcoin is more powerful than each one of these individual problems. The and really it's uh, stood the test of time, even with its relatively young age. It is super anti-fragile and resilient, and it's hard not to be hopeful when you have the understanding of Bitcoin, and then that changes your perspective and changes the way you live and the way you interpret life, and just has this massive domino effect that I think is underrated. Makes you a better person, makes you more capable in the world, which is massive, I think.
Yeah, I'll talk a lot about the empowerment you have from Bitcoin. And so this alone, just like having the ability to save, we're not even talking about the second and the third order effects of that on society and what comes with that. Just for you as a human being to be able to save in something and trust it will still be there in 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years, that changes everything, like on an individual basis.
Yeah, it does. And I think it's really underrated because if you say that to somebody, a friend that's not into Bitcoin or just anybody on the street or family or something, oh, I use Bitcoin as savings. I have the ability to save my purchasing power. They think, okay, so what? I have a bank account. Maybe I'll put it in a savings account. It'll pay me 2% interest. They tell me inflation's 2%. I'm saving my money. And it's just not true. Like you're not keeping up with inflation, and if you are, it's because you're taking outsized risks by investing in something. So it forces, the way the system works is it forces broad money into investment to continually basically push up the asset prices, so people can retire off of the assets that they bought at a younger age from new investment in. And if you describe that in other terms, that's a Ponzi scheme, right? So a lot of what what we're experiencing here is a system to perpetuate a Ponzi scheme. and it's like a, you know, debt spiral as well with the money creation. So it's unsustainable and it's unstable, and all of that should give people a lot more worry. Again, if you have your money in a bank account, you're getting what you believe inflation is, and maybe even inflation is that. It's still not your money. It still doesn't. You know, you still need permission to have it. So there's all these, again, as you said, second and third order effects beyond that, where you don't have any freedom, you don't have any control when you're within that system. And I think that's an incredibly underrated thing. And I think there's actually a huge amount of value in just being able to actually control the assets that you own. And people were saying, you know, people are like, oh, I don't care. Like, I'll trust the big banks. They've never done me wrong before. But it's a real vibe shift. It's a real change in your mentality when you actually have something outside of the current system. And I think people should try it. And I think that's why, like, a lot of people advise people, like, you know, buy some Bitcoin on exchange, move it into a software wallet, send it to another one, send it to your friend, just send a transaction, go view it on the mempool, see it happen, get added to a block, actually see a transaction happen on the Bitcoin network, and it will actually just begin the journey of understanding how monumental it is that this system exists, that nobody controls, that everyone can be a part of, that I'm running a node right over there that is, you know, that I can validate all of that on. I'm not trusting anybody with that. And it all works. It all works seamlessly. And it's worked for, you know, 16, 17 years now, where it's just flawless. It's a real revolution happening here in front of people's eyes. And they're saying, oh, so what? I can get those returns if I buy Nvidia. I can get those returns if I buy S&P 500. Maybe 1 year, but another year you won't, because Bitcoin is just beyond the innovation that's happening there, in my opinion. It's, I mean, this is all sort of the thesis of, like, or my thesis of why it's going to appreciate in dollar terms, is that in a world where, without a doubt, humans have developed more technology to drive, to create deflation, essentially. We have gotten better at creating housing. We have gotten better at creating uh, TVs, food, right? It used to take a whole family to farm a field to produce food for themselves and a neighbor and maybe a couple other people in the community, right? And there was this sort of substance farming and a little bit beyond that. Now there's one farmer who, you know, uses a bunch of fertilizer that was created by a technology, and then you know, has a tractor and produces a huge amount of food on a field that feeds thousands of people, right? That is labor getting removed. That is abundance being created. That's a deflationary technology. And as things become more abundant, they become worth less. And Bitcoin is the only thing that stands opposed to that, especially in the digital world, which is, again, if you look at trends, right? This is all sort of like theorizing into the future of trends. We're getting more and more digital, right? More of our lives are digital. And the digital world is becoming more and more abundant. And AI plays into that as well, right? Like, we can all make bespoke software with vibe coded AI. We can use AI to be our assistant, to be our researcher. And essentially, like, where you might have paid for legal advice or medical advice or any sort of types of advice, you don't anymore. So it's like this demand that never happened because of the abundance of a technology. And it's this value that never gets transferred, or does, or gets less transferred to somewhere that was investable previously. So with that, Bitcoin, again, is the only thing that can't be made more abundant. The AI could become, as, you know, we could go super AGI, you know, artificial general intelligence, and still they would have no way of creating more Bitcoin, because we would disagree with the way that they've created more Bitcoin by running a strict set of rules on our nodes. And that enforces that scarcity. So as things become more abundant, scarce, desirable things become more desirable. and more valuable, right? It's the only other metric that can move. If supply can't catch up to meet demand, then price has to move upwards until more supply gets drawn out by selling at those higher prices. So that's the whole thesis, is that all growth needs scarce, desirable, uncensorable, decentralized, non-controlled money as a value mechanism for value transfer in the future. That's my whole thesis, and I just think it's going to take many, many years to play out, because you could dissect each one of those little things and have to begin to understand those knock-on effects, those trajectories, when other people are going to understand that, how it plays out. You can map that if you wanted, of what price projection we'll have, but to me, it just doesn't matter, right? It's just, you got to have a long time horizon, because these are not simple things. There's a whole complex that is trying to make this not happen, and they're not being super overt about it. They're not super cracking down on Bitcoin, because that's not the way they can slow it down. If they do that, it actually shows that there's it basically will bring out a lot more attention to it. So instead, they say things, well, a couple of years ago, they would say things like energy usage of Bitcoin mining is bad. And, now they have some guy who's popular about his takes on Iran saying, where are the servers? And, he's never done a Google search in his life or something. I don't know. But this is kind of the way that, in my opinion, the fiat complex continues to perpetuate their shitcoin, right? Like, I actually think, like, all central bankers, all bankers are essentially influencers, and they're trying to influence you in ascribing value to their currency. And I think you're being fooled if you believe them. And it's just like any other crypto thing, right? Like, crypto is just fiat reinvented, right? It's just, hey, buy my crypto because it can do X, Y, and Z. Ignore the fact that I own 30% of the supply, and I can change the rules, or a small group of us can change the rules. That's the same thing as fiat. It makes no difference. And Bitcoin stands alone from that. I mean, my YouTube channel used to be called Bitcoin Not Crypto, and it was because of that distinction that I think is really important to make. And I think that's another way we get psyoped away from Bitcoin, right? Is everybody in the mainstream media, they could be saying Bitcoin, they'll be talking about crypto. They could be talking about crypto, they're also talking about Bitcoin. These two things are completely irrelated. They're not related at all to me. And that distinction is intentionally muddied. It's either intentional or ignorant, but either way, it does the job of pushing people away from this. And I think that's actually a massive disservice for the benefit of humanity. I think this thing could make the world a better place. That's why I'm in it. And that kind of goes back to, like, that sort of, like, hope and nihilistic conversation we were having earlier, which is just like, Bitcoin could go to zero in the future, and I still will have been glad that I spent time thinking about being involved and working within Bitcoin, because it made my perception of reality better and more hopeful, and therefore I lived a better life because of it. So yeah, I don't want to be like, I could have bought in Palantir stock, right? It would have outperformed in these in certain periods. I don't think it's ethical to do so. I wouldn't feel good about where my money's invested in. So that's another reason that Bitcoin interests me.
There was a lot in there. I have a couple of points to that. I want to start with the most entertaining one, which is the video that you mentioned of the guy with the CIA operation, because I saw that, and I know I usually don't try to multiply stupidity. And if you share stupidity, you kind of multiply the stupidity. So I usually don't do that. But I found it so entertaining what he said there. And the bad thing is that people actually take it as an like actual argument. There will be people watching this clip that I'll show you guys in a moment, and say, oh yeah, I actually don't know where the servers of Bitcoin are. So like I don't trust Bitcoin now. Mm-hmm. And they don't even go down the rabbit hole of researching, because maybe they trust the host, maybe they trust the guy because they like him of something else, and they take his word for that, and stop right there. And I don't know if he is on purpose stupid or if he just likes to talk shit about things or it's an engagement farming tactic. Like, I don't know what his true intentions are. It's the only clip I've saw from him, so I have no clue what this guy even is. But I saw him, I think, a couple of weeks or months ago, also on Twitter, where he claims he never claimed to be a professor, and then another clip showing him saying professor like 50 times in different interviews. But that's a whole nother story. I want to show you guys this quickly because as a Bitcoiner, I feel like it's entertaining. I don't know if you if it's also entertaining for you guys.
There's no volume on it. I can't hear it.
Oh, you cannot hear it?
No.
Oh shit. I'll try again. Wait.
I guess it could be on my end, but I'm not sure.
So the moment people recognize that this is a CIA operation, people won't put their money into blockchain. People won't put their money into Bitcoin. They'll be like, I mean, why would I do that? You have to ask yourself this question: where are the blockchain servers located? Right? Because I imagine if you're able to control the hardware, you can also control the software. I don't care what they tell me about open source and all that. I want to know where the databases are, where the servers are, physically.
I don't know. I haven't seen the full clip, but I love that the host laughing at that point. I don't know if he agrees with him or if it's just a laugh because he's it's really a stupid thing. I want to dissect it for like two different points. The first one is it's a valid question. Like, I think every Bitcoiner that gets educated on Bitcoin should ask this question: like, where is my servers? That's that question you should be asking, and you should find an answer, and the answer should make you more bullish on Bitcoin than you were before you knew the answer to that question. But the thing that, like, the second point, the thing that really kind of tricked me here, like, first of all, he just like puts blockchain in a thing, but the thing was, for me, the software and the hardware. It's open source, and so if you ask yourself the question, like, where is the hardware running, like you can run it, like everyone, like you can just like go ahead and like you can run it. It's open source. So the moment he mentioned open source, he should have realized everyone can run it. Like, it's not a closed system. It's not Google. I cannot run Google on my on my computer. I can copy it somehow and run it and try to do something but it's a closed system. I don't know the code and algorithm of Google, but I can run Bitcoin myself. What are you thinking on that clip?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you, and I think the main thing there is, like, you know, I make fun of this guy, and I did earlier in the show, but you're absolutely correct that that is a question that you should ask: is where is the blockchain of Bitcoin stored? Where are the servers? What are the servers? What are the miners? There's no question that should be off limits when you're researching anything. And I don't know why this guy is continuing to ask these questions, because this video here has gone viral, but a week ago on Maple Bitcoin, we reacted to a video of Prof. Zhang saying the exact same thing. It was from a interview from like months and months ago. So within those months, he's been on BTC sessions with Simon Dixon. He's, you know, all over the place, becoming popular. He's never actually looked into the question that he's beginning to ask. So to me, that is more intentional than ignorant. It's got to be. Like, there's no way, because you say something like that. If I say something wrong on this podcast and I look at the comment section, I'm going to get corrected, right? So without a doubt, people have been messaging him, hey, this is where the servers are. They're in my house. They're in my basement. My buddy down the road is running a Bitcoin node too, right? Open source means that anybody can run it, as you said, on basically any type of hardware, or vast majority of hardware. And yeah, I mean, that's what open source means. And the first thing that he said there is that, like, the CIA could have created this thing, so nobody's going to put their money into it. The mystery, like the creation of Bitcoin is a great mystery. And that's very intriguing for normies of where did Bitcoin come from? Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Is it Adam Back? Is it Len Sassaman? Is it this? Is it the CIA? Is it, all this kind of stuff, right? All these questions that really intrigue normies because it is a fantastic mystery and it's fun to think of these things.
The first thing that every Bitcoiner does, and the most important activity that every Bitcoiner keeps on doing, is buying Bitcoin. And I personally use Relay to buy and sometimes also spend or sell my Bitcoin. And there are two main reasons why I do so. The first one is it's Bitcoin only. They do not do any shit coins. They do not do any cryptos, any stocks or anything else. This is a tool, an app that is fully focused only and solely on Bitcoin. The second one is self-custody. They give you the keys to your Bitcoin the moment you buy them. You never give them the control over your Bitcoin, and you don't have to trust them because you can verify that you and only you have the keys to your Bitcoin. There's no third-party risk. There's no freezing of your assets. There's no rug pulling. There's nothing of that. Download Relay, the app, on your phone, or go to relay.app on your browser and use code Robin to save fees and get cheaper Bitcoin. I want to tell you about something very special to me. It's called micro-seed. If you hold your Bitcoin in self-custody, and you should, you know how critical it is to secure your seed phrase. You should not have them on paper. You should not have them on anything else than titanium. With micro-seed, you can engrave your 12 or 24 word seed phrase, the entire seed phrase, onto a 1-inch small washer. Yes, just one washer. All 24 words on that one washer. You can hide that thing everywhere. And even better, you don't need to buy a new kit every time you have to get a new wallet. You can make unlimited backups because micro-seed is not selling the washer. Micro-seed is selling the device that stamps the washer. So you get the full kit with the device, with the washers, with the hammer, with everything you need to get started today, and you can make with that unlimited amount of backups. Go now to microseed.io.